Hello and welcome everyone to the Main Street Matters webinar. My name is Patrick Kaiser. I am the Executive Director of Heart on Main Street. Heart on Main Street is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping you, the independent retailers, evolve and thrive within your local communities. This is a monthly webinar series. Our aim is to connect experts in their fields to you so that you can learn from their incredibly valuable sources of information and allow yourselves to grow your businesses. If you are new and have just discovered Heart on Main Street or our webinar series, welcome. If you are an old friend, well, welcome back. Thank you. You can find all of our webinars that we've done previously, as well as register for future webinars at heartonmainstreet.org. My guest today is Cathy Donovan Wagner, the retail maven. As a former retail owner, Cathy founded RETAILMavens and to help retailers learn how to master numbers. And Cathy herself has gone from, as a retailer, nearly bankrupt to having 3 multi-million-dollar stores. Cathy now uses her cutting-edge expertise in retail and consumer behavior to help thousands of independent retailers increase sales and improve cash flow using her proven point breakthrough system. Together with the Retail Mavens team, she guides retailers to more profit, better sleep, and living the life that they love. Through a powerful group and private coaching programs, industry speaking events, and a thriving online community. So Cathy, thank you so much for joining here today.
Thank you so much, and thank you for so much for that introduction. It just makes me feel so important now.
You are important, absolutely. I mean, you've helped thousands of retailers, and so I'm sure that the knowledge that you will be sharing today will help even more. So thank you.
Oh, you guys, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. I'm so honored to be here.
So today we're going to be doing a little bit of Mythbusters, addressing the idea that more people into your store means more money coming through the till. And I think that makes some internal logic. You think kind of playing the numbers game that, oh, if more people are coming in, even if there are some that just come in, look around and don't buy anything, but overall, I'm going to have more money by more people coming in. But I'm guessing that's not going to hold up to some exterior logic. So, Cathy, I'm ready to be hurt. I'm ready for you to burst my bubble. Tell us about how more people coming into your store does not necessarily mean more profit.
It does not. And listen, the thing that was so funny about the introduction that you gave me is because I felt like it was such like an Instagram reel, like, everything is so perfect. Oh, I lived a life of Zen, and the reality, I know I did it, you even did it wrong. I lived a life of Zen. And you guys, something I'm so passionate about is like, you got to know that I like to think that I made all these mistakes so that you don't have to. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how I'm really open with it, because I want you guys to be better. You all deserve to be richer retailers. You're helping your community so much. You deserve to not just survive, but to thrive. And what I love about being partnered with Heart on Main Street is that that's exactly their philosophy too. And they are boots on the ground, helping people and helping stores when they're in difficult situations. And so we share that same passion for helping retailers. So thank you very much, Patrick, for what you guys do.
Thank you for being, again, a part of our webinar today. And also thank you for making the mistake so we can all learn from you. So.
You're very welcome. All righty. So let me get this sharing now. Let's make sure this works, shall we? See, you guys didn't see all the behind scenes here. Patrick and I were going crazy because we had a little their issue, but does that all look? Can you see it all?
We got it. It looks great. Right. We can see it perfectly.
All right.
Wonderful. Not skewed off to the side anymore. We're great.
Oh my goodness, you guys, right? Life just doesn't always go like you plan, like you planned for it to, right? And that's exactly, honestly, what this whole training is really about, because it's for store owners like me who had just reached a point like you were, like I was done. I was so done. I opened my store because I wanted to run my store and help people and increase traffic and get more sales and more profits, sleep well. And I wanted to be able to pay myself well and pay my team a good paycheck. And it's like, what the heck was I doing wrong? What the heck was I doing wrong? And what I finally learned was this, that more traffic will not solve all the problems. It will not. It will not. This belief is such a big mistake, honestly, in any business. I almost went bankrupt twice before I figured that out, you guys, and it was so crazy stressful. And I want you to skip that whole phase of retail if I can help you, all right? And so, just like Patrick said, this is going to challenge you a little bit, but we're going to lean in together and dig into this. And the other thing I want you to know is that I only teach what is proven and has worked with myself and the thousands of retailers that I've worked with, like you. I've been doing this. Actually, next month we celebrate 25 years in business.
Oh my gosh.
For that. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And what I am so honored with, and so what's different about what we do with clients is that we're really in the trenches with them. So of course, what I taught 25 years ago, I mean, isn't the same as now, although this is still true, right? This fact is still true. But the beauty of what we get to do is we get to work with these clients. And so we're always updating. Everything is different all the time, right? I mean, that's life, right?
Everything's evolving, everything's changing. You have to, yeah.
All the time. So anyway, so I just want you to know that from the get-go. These aren't like great ideas that I've just sat in my desk and just thought to myself,
theory.
I wonder if this works. It's like, oh no, these have all been proven. It's the reason why we've been around so long. The other thing I want to share with you is that I also work hard, my whole team does too, to share with you things that you can take action on today. And so that's what we're going to do. And the thing is so at the end, if you're interested in going further, I wouldn't be doing you a service if I didn't share with you other ways you can, if I didn't offer some solutions with you, right? And the fact is that as I go through, it's kind of like a bit of a choose your own adventure kind of thing. And as you go through it, what I really hope for you is that you can also learn which direction you should take first, right? Whether it's me or with someone else, but just so that you know what step to take so you can live that life that you deserve, that life of a richer retailer where you're thriving, not just surviving, where you get more profit and better sleep, and all in a scalable, sustainable way. So let me tell you what made me crazy about retail and see if you can relate. I have to tell you that having to work so dang hard to get people through my door without it resulting in more sales and a consistent, nice paycheck made me so mad. It made me so mad. I said that I reached the point where I was done because I'm sure I'm not the only person that was stressed out about buying inventory, winging it, right? Trying to make good decisions, but worried I was buying too much or was I buying too little? And I always felt that I could never leave the store for very long, even though I had a team, because when I left, sales would drop and I'd be worried about my customers. Were they not being taken care of correctly? And I mean, I had wonderful people, and plus I wasn't feeling my best. I just wasn't. I was all taking a toll on me. And I just kept thinking, how can I stop chasing customers and work more on my store so that I can make more money and feel more calm and have more time off, right? I was so tired of doing everything all the time without it resulting in more sales and more time off. Like spending time on hours, really, on social media to just crickets, right? Or posting those help wanted ads with no response and wanting to be more than wanting to be, I constantly had to be super creative all the time about getting people through my door. I knew I needed a system that made all of this automatic, that was, or at least part of it, right? I mean, because there's always fires, but I wanted a system that would make it repeatable and scalable, that still allowed me to live my life, right? If that's you, please drop a yes in chat. I'd love to see that. The thing is
a lot of
that
people can relate to that, just being overwhelmed and doing everything and just wanting a little bit more time. Absolutely.
Yeah, right. I get it. And the thing is that we believe that if we want to double our sales, we need to double our traffic, right? I mean, if you think about it, so much of the work that we do on social media is for that. I mean, and it's exactly like Patrick said, it makes sense when you say it out loud, right? But the thing is that what I find happens is that we kind of just keep looking for that magic bullet or that silver bullet that will finally work, you know. So maybe if I post a few more reels on social media, or if I add TikTok, or if I bring in that new product line, that's going to be it. I'd love for you to share something that you've added to your plate before because you thought it would be that one thing. And what I want you guys to know is that you're not alone. Everybody does this, right? Because you sit in bed at night and you're like, why aren't my sales where they should be? Why? And so, but the fact is that we spend so much time and energy worrying about doubling our traffic, and this belief is a lie. Doubling your traffic does not double your sales. And we're going to bust this myth right now. It is a flat out lie, because the fact is that even if everything you're spending so much time on worked, and we all know that not everything does, this doesn't mean your sales will grow. Let me show you why. So let's say that you got a big flock of customers, a big flock of customers. I meant crowd of customers to your store.
Coming in the flocks, yeah.
Exactly. But if you're the only person working, and you also have to restock the shelves and the supplies and answer the phone and emails and reorder inventory and keep doing all those things that brought them in the first place, right? Otherwise, they'll just stop coming. Well, and all of this while making sure that everyone has an amazing customer experience and leaves with everything they need to have, you know, the purchase that's just right. Oh, and side note, that's not even talking about everything that has to be done at home, or the people who love you having to miss you another day because you were chained to the store, right? I mean, that's how I felt. And the thing is that you can't possibly do all this on your own, which means that you will be missing sales because the customer experience will be less than ideal. Or you'll be missing sales because you don't have the right merchandise because you can't stay on top of it. Or you'll just burn out. And that's the worst thing, right? Gosh, I hear this so much from retailers, and you don't even, like, the impact you're having on your community is so huge. You make such a difference every single day in the world. And that's why I want you to stop all of this, and because this is not the path to increase sales. Okay, so this is the part that's going to stretch you, because what I learned is that when your goal is to increase your sales and you'd like to pay yourself more, right? But when you're the one that's doing it all, either because you have no team or because your team isn't performing well, you end up being the thing that stands in the way of your increased sales. You are the bottleneck to your own business. It's a mindset thing, but you're completely self-sabotaging. You are. And gosh, you guys, please put your questions in here about what you think about this, because I'd love to deal with them at the end, because I wish I had learned this sooner. I really thought I was working hard to make good decisions and doing everything I could, but I wasn't. I mean, I really was spending all this time putting out all these fires and wearing all these hats. I mean, I had a team, and I was still wearing so many hats. I can remember leaving the back room and walking by the counter, and two really wonderful people, for sure, good people, they'd be standing behind the counter talking, and I was just looking at all this stuff that had to be done, and it was like I was the only one that could see it. It was so painful. It was so painful. I mean, you know, like I was the store opener, I was the buyer, the boxer, the unboxer, the toilet cleaner. I mean, all these hats, the HR manager, and what about the hanger wrangler or the box collapser, you know? And of course, you need to be a marketing guru. And you guys, I know that this is a small fraction of all the hats that you wear. And listen, what I didn't know is that I was running my store by the seat of my pants, and I did not see it. I did not see it, but I was. Because you know how I figured that out is because when you're running your store by the seat of your pants, that means the store is running you. And you don't know what you should prioritize first. You're reacting to everything and jumping from one thing to another to another. And your results are going to show that, right? You too, right? In order to turn that traffic into sales, you have to put on your CEO hat. You, as the CEO of your store, need to focus on the CEO tasks of your business, because that's what you really are. You're responsible for creating and holding the big vision for your business, and you get to choose your big goals here, you guys. You're then in charge of executing them and creating the plan and the action steps that are going to get you and your team to where you want to go. And with this big picture view of your business, you can easily see the possibilities and the opportunities that you can't see when you're wearing all these other hats on top of your head, right? And you get to spend time building your new skills, investing in your own growth as well as that of your business. Imagine how successful you'd feel. Actually, imagine how successful you'd be with that CEO hat firmly on your head. I want you to take a slide of a picture of this slide, or make a note, because this is ultimately what your job really is. This is what you deserve to be spending the majority of your time on. And listen, it starts here with your team. And I know that building and training a team is such a big, time-consuming project. But when you approach it as an ongoing, automatic process built into your schedule, it takes so much pressure off of you. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. But first, I have to convince you to spend the time to do this, because yes, it's going to take a little time, but wait till you see how once you do it, it's so easy. But I want to make sure you see that value. So let's look at the costs of not training your team right, because I get it. It's one of those things that there's never time for, but it's so much more expensive than you think it is. First, you'll lose sales because your staff are just glorified store sitters, right? I mean, you'll end up losing more time than you gained because you have to go back and fix things. Oh my golly, right? And you will swear to yourself that you've told them a million times exactly how to count out the drawer at the end of the day or whatever, right? It's so maddening. And you'll also feel like you have to be in the store all the time, or you'll lose sales, or that customers won't be treated right, or that people aren't adding on the way you know how to add on, and which is not about pushing anything on anybody, but providing the best service that you have, right? And that's all just so stressful. So all of this ends up reducing sales and productivity, which costs you money more than you realize, for sure. On the flip side, when you do train your team to support you and your customers and your sales better, your sales grow because, frankly, your customers have a better experience and they'll tell their friends about it. You're going to focus on the things that you love and that you're good at and that move the business forward, because everyone's working in their own unique ability and their zone of genius. And that's such a beautiful thing and a feeling to have. And then you're relaxed and you have free time with your family and your friends and activities that you enjoy. And you can rest in a hammock just like this. Listen, all of this results in increased productivity, which means more money. And that's what you want, right? More money and more peace, right? But how? How do I get it? Oh my gosh, when I learned this, I can't wait to share this with you. So this is a system for continuously training well. And the best way to do it, you guys, is at your team meetings. That's the secret. The goal is to have a team meeting once a week and to always train on a specific sales skill that you want them to learn or to improve. Every meeting, you should be once a week, like I said, and that's what your goal should be. You start anywhere. You start where you are, you guys. That's the fact. And you're going to be training on a specific training like you're going to be training on a specific action that you're actually, no, what I mean to say is that you're going to have a segment, a part of your team meeting where you're going to either train on a product or train on an action, like specific sales skills. So by that, I mean like greeting customers or adding on to sales or getting a customer's information at checkout and how to reach out to customers on slow days. This is such a great opportunity for role playing with your customer, with your team, and you can role play what are common objections, like what the most common customer objections are, and brainstorming products to add on to sales. You can have your team members play with the interaction and watch them help each other with tips and suggestions. It's so powerful. So this is one super easy way that you can do it. All right. If there's any obstacle that's coming up in your head right now, just let me know, okay? The other way I want to tell you that you can do that people don't think about is through events. So listen, I know that, events are a great thing to do to increase customer engagement, to increase your traffic, but they're also a great vehicle to train your team, right? Events are often focused like around a specific product of item, like crystal glasses, for example, or something, or they're also around a particular vendor, or maybe a service that you offer. And so what you can do is you can use this event to make sure that your team is knowledgeable in this product or service, and that's going to improve your team's ability to sell it, right? It's something that you're doing already, because you're not going to go in and start talking about the monogramming service that you offer without making sure they all know, but approach it. But like you're looking at it with a slightly different vision. You're approaching it from the vision of how can I use this as training for them? And listen, remember that sales is service. It's the transference of enthusiasm. That's really all it is. That's really all it is. It's not ever about pushing, and that's what people tend to think. And so you can help your team serve your customers better by making sure that they feel confident about each of the products that you sell and how to sell well. I tell you, the one other fascinating thing about this is that because we're all about rinsing and repeating things, is that anytime you're training someone on something, anytime at all, document it in some way. Right? That's what's so powerful. That could look like creating a video, or you could have a person you're training take notes, or you can use a tool like Read AI, READ.ai. It's a free tool that you can use with Zoom, for example, and it'll transcribe and create a checklist for you, actually, if you tell it to do it. If you already have team members, you can ask them to write out their responsibilities or instructions, and then you just need to review it, right? But then you see that you're being intentional about documenting your training. And so you're literally going to be building your own training library for future hires automatically. It's incredible. It's incredible. We put together a little one-page worksheet on using team meetings to train these skills, and you'll look at it because you'll get it in your inbox. We're going to send it out to you to make it easier. The one other thing I wanted to share about events, a great solution that one client had, was that she was training on arts and crafts. Like, she decided to run an arts and crafts project for on every Wednesday, middle of the day during the summer. And honestly, she didn't get great attendance for it. And it didn't really increase her sales. And so she's like, well, that was a flop, but whatever, next thing. But then what I noticed is that her sales in arts and crafts did start to peak up a little bit, she did it for 2 months. And so in the second month, her sales started to pick up a little bit. And honestly, her sales continued to increase all through the rest of the fall and through Christmas, which was her biggest season. They dramatically increased. And the reason why was because that event, people learned about more products. Like, she had a different products where she highlighted and featured a different product every single week. So you know that you carry tons of things. It's hard for people to know everything and have tried it. But then once the team had actually tried them like that, they were able to sell them more. So we saw it work. It was so powerful. It was so powerful.
Well, because walking into stores, you can tell who is a well-trained team, who knows how to talk about different products, who knows how to direct you towards what you're looking for, versus one that isn't trained well and doesn't have that. And you might even think of, well, they're part-time and not going to spend the time training them. And even just, a part-time people, it is so valuable to make sure that they know how to direct customers to where they're going. And I love that idea of events and just having it catered around a certain topic, that your team will begin to know that, even if it's an event for other people to come in, but the more that they're learning about it, then the more that they can talk about it. They can bring people in, they can, make them part of that selling process. So yeah, amazing.
Exactly. And it's all about looking at it differently, right? It's about realizing that you can create your training library. You're not just telling them about this event, you're actually training them about it. So it enhances everything, which is super powerful.
Way, you have someone new come in, you don't have to redo all of those trainings. You can go back to, this is what we did 7 months ago, and we have this, and be able to start them off with that.
Correct. Exactly right. That's exactly right, Patrick. Yeah. So that's the first reason why more traffic doesn't mean more sales, because your team has to be trained correctly. Now, the next reason is, so let's say you have that big flock of customers coming through your doors, but your shelves are stocked with the wrong products, and your products that your customers don't actually want. And you're saying, Cathy, how do you know that it's products that my customers don't want? Well, I don't know. but you know what your old inventory is. It's on the floor, right? I mean, that's it, right? Or you don't have enough of the products and they sell out before they can make their purchase. And then all those customers just turn around and leave without making a purchase. So all those extra customers, and you didn't end up with more money in your account. I want to talk to you about some common but very costly mistakes that people make with their inventory. Because the other hat that you get to wear, besides your CEO hat, is also the chief inventory officer of your store. And you need to understand these mistakes so you can take control of your inventory, right? The first mistake I see so many owners make is not having a budget for their inventory. Mm-hmm. Instead, they buy based only on what they think their customers want, and instead of looking at data. And this is the fact, is that your gut for sure is right about some of it, but then it's so very wrong about more. That's the thing, right? And store owners who don't have a budget for their inventory will often buy according to what their bank balance is. I know I would go to trade shows, and if there was money in my account, I felt rich, and I totally spent more than if I went to the trade show and I didn't, and then I postponed ordering it or something. See, the thing is that if you're running your store without a sales-based budget for inventory, I can guarantee you that you either have too much, too little, or the wrong inventory. You have to have a strategy behind it that's based on data. You have to. Listen, and another big mistake that I see well-meaning store owners make all the time, people who do have a budget, is that they cut spending across the board on something. I often see this when the economy slows down or gets wobbly, like I feel like it is now. But it also pops up when cash flow is just tight, that you just spend less. And listen, it's not that reducing costs is a bad idea. It's just that when you cut spending everywhere, it doesn't improve cash flow like you think it does, because it costs you sales and customer loyalty, because you don't have enough inventory on hand where you really need it. Those are your best sellers, the bread and butter of your store, those products that your customers depend on you for, which means they'll go somewhere else. We call them your never out ofs. That's what it is. So you can't cut spending to that for sure, right? Another really common mistake I see is store owners reacting to slow sales by overspending on new shiny products, right? I get it. I mean, you have a store of old inventory, you're tired of looking at it, and it's not selling, and sales are tanked. And so you're sitting there behind your counter, and you're thinking to yourself, I know, I just need something new and fresh to bring in the crowds. And you're not wrong to think that customers should see something new every time they come into your store, or that old stale inventory is stalling your sales. But if you keep testing new products without focusing on identifying and budgeting for your best sellers, sure, some of the products will be hits, but not all. And then you'll end up killing your cash flow and your sales, resulting in even more stuck inventory holding you back. When I did this, even I missed how powerful this was. And I first learned this about 2 years ago, in the very first year that this client focused on just increasing her never out ofs. The only thing she did was making sure she carried enough of her never out ofs so that she was literally never out of them. It increased her sales 13%, Patrick, without more people coming in, do you know what I'm saying? But it was just that instead of spending some of her money on this new stuff that, right, we always want, we just have to make sure we have those never out ofs also. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, again, that's that internal logic. It makes sense. We're going to tighten the belt. We're going to cut costs across the board. We're going to make sure we're not spending as much. If I don't spend as much, then I can decrease my the costs, and everything else will be profit on. But those are the things that people are coming in for. And if you're cutting out on the things that people are coming in for, then yeah, I might as well go somewhere else. Or maybe you just boil yourself down into a couple different brands, and then it's, well, yeah, I can find those brands other places too, or, so yeah, making sure you have those never out ofs. And that's so important, that, knowing what people want from your store and being able to sure you have that.
Right. Well, and also making sure that you're identifying them not only based on your gut, but literally by data. Because like I said, for sure. So now we've done this with so many clients now, and for sure, some of them are not surprises for you. But I will tell you, without fail, there are always surprises. There is always some that are like, oh, I had no idea I sold so much of that. You know, that's why you have to look at it, because you don't want to miss those sales either, right? And the fact is that to avoid all these mistakes, you've got to make your buying decisions from an open to buy plan, because with that open to buy plan, you get your sales goal for each class of inventory you have, for blouses, for jewelry, for pants, for socks, whatever. But most of all, an open to buy plan makes you more money. Let me show you exactly how. So OTB is what open to buy plan stands for, right? And the beauty of it is that it makes sure that you're spending each dollar with intention. You're literally giving it a job. So let me show you. Here's an example of operating a store without an open to buy plan and operating a store with an open to buy plan. Just to make things easy, I'm going to say that they both do the same sales. They both do $250,000. Well, the cost of goods sold is less, so much less with an open to buy plan, because you know you're not buying too much. And you're also strategically spending more money on those items that we know sell so well, on those never out ofs, right? And you also need less inventory on average for those sales, because you're stocking the right products in the right quantities. So your inventory turn increases. That's a phrase we hear all the time in retail, but that's literally all it means, is it's increasing your inventory turn. So you're carrying less inventory on your floor. So you have less dollars on the floor and more dollars in your bank account. Look at this. When we add up all those savings, the store with the open to buy would have an additional $38,000 in their pockets. And these numbers are based on actual results you see. And this is without accounting for an increase in sales that frankly always comes as a side effect of getting your inventory finally right. In general, our clients see an increase of sales of 16% with 19% less inventory, which does not make sense. That's another myth I should bust at another time, that more inventory makes more sales, because gosh, we all know how that's not true.
Oh my gosh. Yep. No, been to more stores that have all of the inventory you could ever want, but then it becomes overcrowded. You can't navigate your way through. It's not the right things. It's just a lot of things. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And there's a lot of little tips and tricks about that we could do about. So that'll be our next one, Patrick. That's
all right. Deal.
And the thing I want you to know, you guys, is about having an open to buy. If you have even bigger sales volume, look what happens for this store that does $700,000 in sales. Look at their cost of goods is much less, their average inventory is significantly less, and at this level of sales volume, the savings of having an open to buy plan is $188,000. Again, these are real numbers, you guys. It's shocking. It's so amazing. You just can't increase your sales with too much or not enough or the wrong inventory. You can't. When you buy better, you'll sell more to the customer you already have. Now, let me give you one more example that's never talked about enough. And yeah, let me just dig into that. So let's say that all those different things that you're doing are working and you get this flock of people crowding into your store. Well, right, that's great. But if you have not ensured that your margins are sufficient, meaning that you're not keeping enough of every dollar that comes in, that your project pricing is strategic, and that your expenses are lined up with your sales so that what you are keeping isn't going right back out the back door to pay your bills, all those extra customers, all those extra dollars won't be extra dollars in your pocket. That's what happened to me. I'll never forget when we crossed our first $1 million. I was like, woo! Oh, I'm living the life. And then all of a sudden I was like,
must be full.
Exactly. And I was shocked to find out that it wasn't true. It was not true at all. It was not true at all. You see the empty wallet there? It's like your store is a leaky bucket. It's like the dollars go in and then they go through all these little holes and nothing gets left over for you. I can remember saying, I used to feel like all the money was coming in the front door and then going right out the back door and not staying with me, you know? And listen, I know that you did not start your store to be a not-for-profit business. And I also know that you didn't open it because you love Excel or Google Sheets, although I know I have some numbers people out there like me, because I did always love that part. But listen, you guys, You can't ignore these numbers. And all you have to do is love the math that makes you money. And I'm going to show some of that to you today so you can take action on it right away, okay? Because if you're not keeping enough of every sale you're working on, excuse me, if you're not taking out enough of every sale, then you're not able to pay yourself, pay your team. You're working so hard to get these customers in, but you're not keeping enough of it. But by looking at building profit in your business, you're going to actually find more money hiding within your store, literally hiding within your store. Here, I'm going to get into it with you. So to build profit into your business, obviously your sales and expenses can't be more than 100% of your income, right? I know you know this, but it's amazing. Like I said, I've been doing this for so long, and it's one of those things that people know in their head, but it's crazy how many store owners don't appreciate that their expenses are way out of balance with their sales when they actually sit down and add everything up. And then another common mistake that as I say out loud, you're going to say, oh, this is crazy. You guys, we see it happening all the time. People don't include their own paycheck when they're including all their expenses, or they don't include paying down debt. You've got to leave room to do both of those things, because that way, even with the same amount of traffic coming through your door and the same amount of sales, more money will stay in your account immediately because everything else has been accounted for, right? So the question is, and this is what happened to me, right? Like $1 million. Oh my golly, that's like the magical land, right? I'm sorry, where was the profit? What is there ever any? There wasn't any for me. And I want to take a little closer look at this traditional formula of taking profit in business, because although it makes sense, it does not work. It doesn't work, you guys. This is a broken formula that we're all taught. It's like an old way of approaching stores' finances, is to subtract your expenses from the sales, and then whatever's left over, if anything, is your profit.
It's almost too simple, right? It just seems like, yeah, if you can write it out in one line, then there's got to be something else going on here.
Exactly. It's like people postpone when you do this, it's like you're postponing profits until after the money is already spent. It's like looking back to see if anything's left over, and there's never anything left over. I mean, there's not, unless you're intentional about it. And so this whole broken formula leads to this vicious cycle of stress. So start at the bottom here where it says stress, right? And then what happens is that when you miss payments, that increases your stress, and then you can't get orders in because you missed some of those payments, and then you had declining sales leading into more debt. It can be impossible to get out of it, right? It can be impossible to. I can remember asking my coach at the time, gosh, why is it that I don't have any more money? And he's like, well, you're reinvesting it into the business. And that's what, and so I would go home thinking, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. Listen, you can get out of this stress. You can. We can break that cycle with a surprisingly simple switch in that formula. Instead of subtracting expenses from your sales and hoping there's enough left over for profit, instead you subtract a set percentage of profit from your sales first, and then the remainder is left to pay the expenses. Don't miss this, you guys. I get how this seems so super small, and you can be sitting here thinking, oh yeah, great idea. And meanwhile, you're like checking your email or whatever. I get it, I know. But this is a huge change in how you approach your finances. Here's why. So you guys have heard of Parkinson's first law, right? That work expands to fill the time that's there. It's like why you're so productive the day before you go on vacation, right? Isn't that so crazy? And listen, this concept can be applied to so many areas, even toothpaste. I mean, it's been scientifically proven. I'm a geek about all this stuff. Like I study all this consumer psychology, and you literally use more toothpaste when the tube is full than when it's getting empty. It's true. I thought of this last night as I was just squeezing the last little bit out, but there's still a little left, The thing is that Parkinson also applied this theory to finance in his second law, which people don't talk about, but it's this, which is that expenditure or money paid out rises to meet the income. So with the old broken formula, where we use sales to pay for expenses first, as our sales grow, our expenses grow to match the money available. It's kind of like lifestyle creep, right? That's the phrase that you hear a lot about. And it's the whole thing of how when you get paid more, every time you get a raise, you spend more. right?
Mm-hmm.
But then this also means that when your sales come in, if you deduct your profit first, the remaining money available for expenses lessens, and you were able to run your business just fine with a little bit less money, right? I'm not talking like a huge amount, but you're forced to find ways to get some things done, the same things done for less money. And in the past, the profit was a leftover, like I said, and there was nothing left over. But now your expenses are forced to adjust or forced to not increase to what remains after profit. So now you can get more deliberate with your spending and take proactive steps to cover both your current and your upcoming expenses, you guys. That's what's so incredible about this. The whole profit first method, which we're all with which we're trained in, this ensures that you have money set aside for your expenses so that the cash is there ready and waiting for you when it's time to pay your rent, your payroll, your vendors, your taxes, everything. It's kind of like a modern digital version of that good old-fashioned cash envelope system. Every dollar in gets assigned to a specific envelope, including profit, including paying yourself and pay all your expenses and debt and inventory. This helps eliminate what we call that bank balance accounting, which is when you look at your bank balance to decide if you can afford something or not, right? Because this way you're planning ahead. You guys, something I say all the time. In fact, I literally have it on my. It's it's a little sticker we made that says "Planet creates time." This is something I when I think of how much time I lost because I didn't want to plan ahead. Like I wanted to be kind of reactive to things. It just doesn't always work. But planning does create time. When you plan time, you have more time. You do. In the same way, you guys, planning also creates cash. It does. When you plan, you have more cash. And so when this system is put into place, that cash reserve keeps growing. It becomes an automatic part of your financial routine. That's working for you behind the scenes, like you don't even have to think about it. You guys, I'm going to challenge you to do something. You can start implementing the system right away by opening a profit account in a perfect world that's in a different bank than your main one. So whichever that is, but it's like either it's an online bank, there's a bunch of different offers, different things you can do there. But the point is you start by transferring 0.5% of your sales into that account. A tiny amount. What difference will it make? Well, you're not doing it now, right? It's not going to hurt you. Don't you see how you can start with that amount? And it will build. You can review it every quarter and see if you can increase it a little bit. It'll help. Even just taking this small action will make such a big difference. That's why I call it transferring success. You're literally transferring success. Isn't that so encouraging, Patrick?
Absolutely. And I love that of just setting it out so that you're taking your profit, you're going to make sure you get a little bit, and what 0.5% on $1 million is, oh man, I mean, I don't know why I boxed myself into trying to do some mental math. 50,000?
I believe so. I have a calculator right here. I'm shocked.
Okay, but yeah, so just a small percentage.
Yeah, $50,000. 50,000.
There we go. Yeah.
$50,000. So yeah, it's crazy. Because it's your starting. This is the other big step to take. A bigger margin also comes from working on your pricing strategy and taking a bigger markup. Now listen, again, something that sounds obvious, but are you doing it? And you can't take it everywhere. You have to have our strategy, but this will allow you to allocate more to your expenses too. Wait till you see. I'm going to define what it is, and I'm going to share a quick strategy to get to a higher markup. To get to a higher margin. So maintain margin is the difference between the cost of your merchandise and your net sales after you've taken the markdowns to sell it, right? Okay, so if you're like most store owners, you're pricing it by doubling it and adding a little bit. Well, if we look at these two stores that both have $50,000 worth of inventory on hand, they're starting with $50,000. That's the cost that you have of your inventory. Store A has a 40% maintained margin. So what that means is that $50,000 worth of inventory has sold for $83,000 of inventory. While as the store that had that $50,000 of inventory sold it at 100 with a 59% margin, sold it at over 121,000. The same inventory, the same amount of inventory. Yeah. Store one does their markups by doubling and adding a little bit, and then mark down only when they have to. And they end up carrying their inventory for a while or have lots of old inventory. And that's how they stay at 40%. Whereas the other store B has a strategy for their pricing and their markdowns. These are actual real numbers, you guys. Their merchandise turns fast. Their customers know that things move fast. And so if they like something, they better buy it because it won't be here tomorrow. They come more often because there's always something new and different to see. And that's how they keep their maintained margin at 59%. You guys, the difference is that after paying for their inventory, so the 83,000 minus the 50 that they have to pay for the inventory, so the other money that they have to pay everything else, look at that. The one is 33,000, the other is 72,000. Again, like, it's just crazy. Just by improving margins without increasing traffic, without buying more, right?
But buying smart and yeah, having your margin set. I mean,
well, hold on. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, Patrick, is that this is the most powerful but often most overlooked stat in retail is initial markup. It means that you mark your inventory up when it comes into your store. Like I said, that keystone does not work. That's just 50%, right? But you can't afford that. If we take two stores that spend $250,000 on retail, store one, on inventory, store one does that 50%, and so that $250,000 of inventory becomes $500,000. Store two takes that $250,000 and takes a 60% average initial markup, and they get to $625,000. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. The same inventory, but they've just tweaking it a little bit. Now listen. I speak a lot in places, and this has often really helped people. So let's look at the pieces of pricing visually like this. Let's say this is a candle. So the retail price of this is $25. The cost is then $10, which is 40%. So then that means that the initial markup is 15, which is 60%. So I show you this because I want you to be able to know how to determine this. Because here's what that IMU looks like if you're actually pricing your product. You take the cost and divide it by the cost percentage in decimal. So a 60% initial markup is a 0.4 is what the cost is. So like if an item's $25, you divide that by 0.4, and then that item then becomes $62. And the thing is that once you've increased your initial margin to 60%, like, it's incredible. It means every single transaction brings you more money. Every single transaction. Because when your prices are higher and your costs stay the same, it automatically, you're keeping more of every dollar you sell. So now listen. Listen, I know I just went over a whole bunch of numbers here.
The non-math people are just like, oh my gosh.
I know, exactly. So I'm sure you've seen this before. Too long, didn't read, right? Well, I'm thinking that you might all be sitting there with your eyes glazed over because there's too many numbers. So this is the summary of everything I just said, which is to fix your margins and raise your prices. Don't be afraid to. Any questions you have, you put them in the Q&A because I will get there. But you can fix your margins by raising your prices. I remember one client, actually, I still work with her. She's when days were slow in her store, she couldn't stand to just sit still, not doing anything. She'd already called all the customers, she'd already done all that. So she said she would walk around her store and pick up items and reprice them. She'd see what she could increase the price of. She'd look at, what's the value of this? It's more than this. Did I mark it up enough? She said she felt like she was creating money that way, Yeah,
and I know a lot of retailers are afraid to do that right now.
Absolutely.
But I mean, inflation's everywhere, and you're getting it at the grocery store, you're getting it, and you as a retailer are seeing it on the products that you buy. There has to be some, and also employees are asking for more. The products that you're buying from vendors are more. You have to make some money. You have to increase your prices. It might not, you might feel bad as, my people are going to go somewhere else.
Right. But they don't, Patrick. 25 years I've been teaching this. This is the first thing we have new clients do, is raise their prices. And in 25 years, you might get one or two people that get cranky. None of the sales have decreased because of it. None of them. Because your people love you. And the other thing is that, and so if we have time at the end, I'm happy to get into some more strategies about how you can, because you can look for items on sale. There's other things you can do. So if you guys have a question, like Patrick was saying, I get it. please just put it in there, because I'd love to share it with you. I'd love to share more details with you, because this is what you have to do. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. So we've learned that more traffic does not equal more sales or a bigger paycheck if you don't keep enough of the money coming in. This is a trap that I was stuck in for so long. So to summarize what we went over, more traffic will not mean more sales if you're not an effective CEO, and if you're wearing all the hats and not training your team well. And so here's what you can do to create a system of training. Train them weekly at team meetings as well as in events, right? And if you don't have an inventory budget or a strategy to bring in the right amount of the right products at the right time, here's what you can do to create a system of managing inventory well. And if your margins are too low and expenses are too high and you're not keeping enough of every dollar, here's what you can do to create a system of keeping more dollars now. Those are the things. That is what you can do. You don't want more traffic. You want more sales. You want more cash flow, and you want more profit. I mean, this is the picture of a healthy business. But which piece you should start with depends on where you are right now. So where should you start? This is the choose your own adventure part. This is where I want to share with you some solutions, additional solutions that we have for you that we'd be honored to help you with. And I want to give you the criteria you need to decide which one is the right one for you. And what I promise you is that you're going to learn a few more things that you should work on after you've worked on what we just went over. That your next stage will be what we're going to talk about. Because the fact is that if you're interested in going bigger and getting bigger results, you owe it to yourself to get a coach to help you. And I'd be honored to support you in reaching your goals. But there's great experts out there. But I also I just want you to be aware of what you deserve and what I know can help you. And we've used our proven and continually updated process with thousands of store owners. And so first, how do you know if you should start with more sales? Well, if you've been in business a while, but you're not over 150,000, not paying yourself consistently, you're a one-person team wearing all the hats, then you need to focus on your foundations. This is the only thing that's going to bring you sustainable growth. You've got to plug those holes in the leaky bucket, the holes around your team, the holes around your marketing, in all these 4 pillars of retail, and that will get you to where you want to go. And that's what we offer inside of our Retail Mavens coaching program. By choosing more sales as your focus, we can build this solid foundation to prepare your store to then step into more cash flow and more profit. But you guys, it has to go in that order, and you can't do it all at once. Oh my goodness, I've spent my life trying to do it all at once, and it doesn't work. So we give you an exact strategy that helps you, that works with digs into the 4 pillars of retail and gives you success in all those, because it's hindering your sales by not knowing them. You get consistent sales growth, you get processes and systems that you can repeat over and over again to reduce your stress. So the next one is more cash flow. How do you know that you should start with more cash flow? Well, if your sales are over 150, if you're a new store or about to open your store, if you're winging your inventory buying and you're under or over inventoried, or maybe both, or if you feel like your store is running you, no matter how hard you try, and even with the team, and you don't have a clear strategic plan, then you need to become an empowered CEO who uses the numbers in her business to make smart, informed decisions. You've got to have a plan. You can't just keep trying to do the best you can. That does not work. You have to have a plan. You need an open to buy plan too, to ensure that you're buying well. And we show you that impact and the importance of growing your margin as you get on this path to being a strong, empowered CEO. It's so powerful to do this, and we'll do this with the monthly profit roadmap that you get inside our Profit Club. When you join our program, you get more cash flow because you're guided to strategic actions to become a profitable, empowered CEO. No more running the store by the seat of your pants. You deserve more than that. You spend your life there and it doesn't do you any good, right? You're going to make informed decisions based on your goals. You're going to have profitable inventory. Imagine going to a trade show and knowing exactly how much money you should spend on jewelry, on necklaces, on shirts. You'll know for exactly what time, which like I showed you, increases your cash flow, right? And that's peace of mind and being able to handle all the seasonal fluctuations. It makes such a big difference. Whoops, I'm so sorry. That is the result. Oh, so my point about this is that how this happens is it's the result of the customized one-on-one support you get inside the Profit Club. And as a Profit Club, as a bonus, when you're in the Profit Club, you also get everything in the Retail Mavens coaching program. So that's why we talk about how this is really the next step for your business. So comment cash flow in chat if you feel like this is the right step for you. All right, one more puzzle piece we have to dig into. So how do you know if more profit is the place for you to start? Well, if your sales are good, you know, that's good, but you're not quite making the profit that you want. And if you're having more negative cash flow months than positive months, and what I want you to know is that it's totally normal to have negative cash flow. Stores do, but if they're so severe that you can't balance them out with positive, you know, with positive cash flow, that's the problem. If you're struggling with debt, expensive debt, like credit card debt that doesn't seem to be being paid off. I mean, and I shared a super helpful strategy of opening a profit account, which is a great start. But, you know, honestly, if you feel like you need more help and if you need more accountability, we can get you to more profit with our Profit First, powered by Profit. Easy for me to say. We can get you to more profit with our Profit First, powered by Retail Mavens program. That's what you get when you choose this. You're going to end up having more money for taxes and expenses and paychecks. You'll have actual in the bank profit and a debt repayment plan if that's what you need. These are all results that come from having a certified Profit First master, which is what we are. We assess your current financials and figure out how to help you do that and to customize your allocations. So that's what this is for, right? So that's why I'm challenging you to choose your own path. But I know what you're thinking, as I would be. I want it all. And of course you should, but you can't do it all at once. That's the thing. That's the thing. So the strategic way to go about this is to focus on one strategy at a time, depending on where you are and what your most urgent need is. So I'm giving you the power to choose to make this decision for yourself and your store and to decide right now to not be confused about it. I know that you know. I know that I've shown you why you should trust us and you can trust in our experience. And now's the time to trust your intuition and listen to your gut and see which it is. You can't go wrong in any of these things. So here's the link to choose your own adventure. And when you choose your path, you'll get more information and next steps. And then also just want you to know that because of that one-on-one component, coaching component of our Profit Club and Profit First programs, we have our retail expert Kiki standing by to chat with you if your path takes you into one of these directions to make sure you're in the right place. Listen, what we care most about is helping to support you, and we'll tell you what's going to get you the best results in the shortest amount of time. That's what we're here for. It's been such an honor to be here with you. And gosh, as you choose your own adventure, we're so happy to help you with your adventures in retail. So thank you so very much for your time today, you guys. It'd be an honor to serve you.
Excellent. Thank you, Cathy. And I mean, it's such great resources. I mean, allowing them or having the option for retailers to be able to understand where they're at and what they need in order to help increase their business. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's like that's what everybody is, a unique snowflake, frankly.
Exactly, right. Everyone's at a different spot. Everyone needs help. Finances are the crux of the independent retail game. And we look at national statistics. Half of retailers are out of business within the first 5 years of their opening. And so everyone has issues with finances in running the store. There's so many different things going on. So increasing profit is a huge part of this. Yeah. Someone just popped in. I missed the beginning. What are the 4 foundations pillars that you spoke of?
Oh, okay. Well, and also there's kind of an extra one, but the first one is honestly your mindset. That's kind of the one that we talked about first. But then it's your numbers, your finances, your team, your marketing, and your inventory. That's what they are.
Great question, Don.
Yeah.
Other questions? I want to open up a little bit for some Q&A. I know we're at the top of the hour already, but if you have other questions, either in the chat or in the Q&A section, would love to know your thoughts or be able to take some time to talk with Cathy here.
So Susan asked me to post the markup formula. Yeah, for sure. Let me go back to that really quick. So what you're doing is you're taking your cost. Let me go back here. It's easiest, I think, if I just show it to you on the slide. I wish I could find it faster than going through all this, but just 1 second here. What you're doing is you're taking your cost and you're dividing it by what percentage you want that cost to be of the total. Oh my goodness, this was not a good idea. So sorry. Anyway, oh, there it is right there. Okay, finally. So for example, if you want the cost to represent 40% of the total price, then you take your cost divided by 40, and that gives you what your price is. And so what that means is that if the cost is 40%, then the markup is 60%. So that's that formula. Does that help, Susan? Let me know if that works for you.
Yeah, so it's almost kind of that backwards. If you want the margin to be 60%, then you're dividing by 40%.
Correct, exactly. And then I can see here that, who was the other person I just saw? Someone was asking, well, if I'm a new store, what does that, how can this be applied to a startup retail business with only one employee, me? I totally understand you. And honestly, because we've been doing this so long, we've really developed all these programs to help retailers at every stage of life that they're in. We have a whole life after retail program where we help stores close or prepare to close or sell their business and move on. But then we also start with beginning stores. And the thing I'll tell you is that there are so many mistakes that are made when stores open. Cathy, what I would recommend, so I want you to know that we'd be honored to help you. That's what the Profit Club can absolutely help you do. So if you'd like to, so don't hesitate to apply for that. And you're not committing to anything yet. We'll talk to make sure it's the right thing for you, because what I have found is that people don't when they're preparing for their when they're working to create their cash flow and they're forecasting that, it's so easy to make huge mistakes at first, then that will follow you around again for the rest of your retail career. And so so that's the reason why I'd suggest that you do that. We have a 97% success rate of helping stores have positive cash flow the first year, including paying themselves and paying down their debt. There's a lot of free materials also on my YouTube channel, so don't hesitate to start there if you want to, and take a look at it. But it's because everything I showed you today, you can start with today. Every single trick I shared, you can start with today to get going, Cathy. And don't hesitate to reach out if there's any more and any other way we can help you.
Yeah, new stores, and the only person there, you need the profit there too. If you want to be able to hire somebody else.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Patrick. Sure. I just want to say one thing. One quick tip, Cathy, that works, and for any of you that have just one team member, what we do is we tell people to find someone that you can hire, and however much you're going to pay them. So let's say you're paying them, $15 an hour. Then what I want you to do for those, start with just hiring them for 2 hours a week. And what I want you to do during those 2 hours a week, so it's $15 an hour, $30 for that whole time period, is I want you to challenge yourself to do something, to create something that will produce 4 times that cost in sales. So if you're going to pay, because that's what you don't have time to do, right? Is some of this background stuff. So like the event that you want to have or something like that. So you can, or the marketing piece that will bring everybody in. And so if you're paying somebody $30, I want you to create something that's going to generate at least $120 in return. That works really well.
Dawn also asks, any tricks you can share about selecting the right inventory?
Golly, such a big question. So
right.
if you,
but it's such a huge component of making sure you're turning a profit.
And I mean, it's your single largest expense, right? And I would say that the biggest mistakes that is made is that whole never out of, is people don't pay attention to those never out ofs. That running a list of all the items that's sold in your store, you should run 2 lists. You should run one list that's every item you're sold in your store by quantity, like the ones you sold the most of, and then run another list of all the items you sold in your store by dollar amount. And then kind of look at those 2 things, because like I've learned from this from making a mistake, is we ran it by dollar amount, just thinking, oh, that'll be clear. But then like the retailer's like, oh, but hold on, like I know I've sold tons of this fun pen that has a feather on the end of it with a unicorn. And oh, right. So I said we had to look at both of them. And it's shocking how you'll find, so aim for 15 or 20 items. So start there. And then making sure that you have enough of those on hand. So one more key little point is that you want to make sure that when there's a small item like this, you want to make sure that you never have less than like 6 or so of these in hand. So you don't want to wait until you get down to like 1 or 2. You want to reorder it before then, so that you never have less than, let's say, 6 or so on hand, because you want it to always still make a impact in your store.
Catherine asks, can you repeat those lists again?
Which lists, Catherine?
Yeah, Catherine, if you could type in and be a little more specific.
That'd be awesome.
Sold by.
Oh, the two lists you have to run.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Oh yeah. So you can go into your point of sale and you can run a report that shows you for it. And I would do it for the whole year. Run a report that shows all the items. You run this by item, not by vendor. All the items that have sold in your store, and you have it sort by the ones that have sold the most, like the most in dollar amount. And then you can sort them by the ones that have sold the most by quantity. So does that make sense, Patrick? Does that the way?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think Catherine, got it after we started talking. So yes,
Great.
Yeah, knowing the number of items sold and the amount dollars sold, and it might match up, or you might see, and then probably also could lead you to maybe some areas where we could increase some margin there too. This item is selling a lot, but we're not making a lot of money off of it. If we increase margin a couple dollars, we could see some growth off of that item.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly true. That's exactly true. That's actually what I'd love to share just one more thing if I could about that price thing, because what you said is so true. So like I was saying, how I speak often, and when I share that thing about erasing initial markup, I can literally see the crowds, like their eyes roll in the back of their head and they kind of sit back and cross because my
customer won't pay more. Yep.
Exactly. They're like, you don't have any idea what you're talking about. You don't know my customer. And I get it, because I fought it too at first. But the thing you can't forget is that often the items that you can mark up the most are the items that cost less than $15. So for example, you can take a higher markup on those items, because like if this pen is $2, the person that's going to pay $4 for this is going to pay $6 for it. Like it doesn't matter. But that's like a 3-time markup. Like, are you kidding me? Like that's incredible, right? So it's often those lower priced items that you can mark up more. Plus, the other mistake I know that I made, that I see clients make all the time too, is you take for granted you underestimate the impact that you have to your vendors. And so it's worth asking them, listen, do you have any pens to get rid of? Because if you have any left over, you're doing them a service, because they have all these pens. And so sure, they have some customers, but you have all these customers. So ask them, listen, do you have any pens you could send me? And do you have any that you could send me like for 50% off cost because you want to get rid of them? And what I find happens is that, especially if you say to them, I have $500 to spend on items that you have that are 50% off. When you say that, the person then hears, oh, you're not just looking for a sale. Oh, everyone's looking for a sale. No, you have $500 that you want to give me, or $250, you guys, whatever number feels right to you. And so you're buying this merchandise that they can't get rid of. And so they'll either say yes or no. But it's like that, but it's like the whole thing of how if you don't ask, the answer is always no, So you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I love that. So that's a great way of doing it. And then also making sure that you're taking advantage of sales, like on Fair. Like Fair has their sales twice a year, and also taking advantage of promotionally priced items that vendors have.
Excellent. Couple, and if there's any more questions out there, I'm not seeing anything more in the chat or the Q&A. But Cathy, you want to tell people where they can find you? RETAILMavens.com, but you mentioned your YouTube channel. I know you're active on social media as well. Where can they find you?
It's Retail Mavens everywhere.
Perfect. So, easy enough.
YouTube, yeah, we've got a nice YouTube channel, and Instagram, on social media, it's all the same. And on all the social medias, it's the same. So it'd be an honor to see you guys there. And like I said, don't hesitate to reach out with any question that you have, because so often the beauty of getting another perspective is that so often we can't see the forest for the trees, literally, right? All we can see is the problem that's right in front of us, but you can get another perspective. And so that's what we'd love to do with clients and helping people.
Wonderful. It helps to have that other perspective, that someone that's not in it every single day and is maybe less emotionally attached to some things, or you can kind of look at it with a very objective view to it. So
exactly.
Cathy, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think I've learned a whole lot. I know our retailers have as well. So thank you.
You're so
Uh,
welcome. Thank you, Patrick.
Quick notification about our next webinar, which will be at the end of March, March 27th. It'll be with Nick McHenry of One Shop Retail. And so Nick will be talking about how to increase customer frequency. So different things that you can do, different tips and tricks to get your customers coming in the door more often and buying from you more often. So you had mentioned earlier of selling more to the customers that you already have and not necessarily trying to go out and hunt for more. So kind of a different take on the similar conversation. So
he literally has a fail-safe way of doing it. It's incredible. Yeah.
I love it. All right. Yeah, Nick's incredible. So you all, you can register for that through heartonmainstreet.org. I'm sure hopefully our registration is already up for that. But you all will be receiving a recording of this later today after I get that finished up. But thank you all for joining. Cathy, thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom. I am very appreciative. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Happy
All right, take care,
reselling.
everybody. Have a wonderful day.